were actually two moments that drew me to poetry. One, when I was 17 years old, I was in love for the first time in my life with a girl who was a year behind me in high school, and she broke up with me because she was bored and because I looked too old for her. That's what she told me. Because I started losing. I mean, this is like really personal, but I started losing my hair when I was 15 years old, and I mean, it didn't bother me particularly. But whenever Sharon and I would talk, and I would say, I'm losing my hair, she would say, "Oh no, come on, you're not losing your hair." So when I was 15, this was 1977, and this was around the time when blow dryers started to become a home appliance, and it was like a really cool thing at the time for if you had a girlfriend that your girlfriend would blow dry your hair. Because it was still at that time, I guess, men did not really take care of their hair the way men nowadays will take care of their hair. So Sharon was really short, and I was sitting on, I had to sit lower than her so that she could actually blow dry my hair. And she was standing over me, and she looked and she said, "Oh my God, you're losing your hair." And this bothered her, that I looked so much older than she. And she broke up with me for that reason and because she was bored. I didn't have a car, and so we couldn't go places. And I lived in Floral Park, which is right over the Nassau-Queens border, and she lived in Belmore, and I had to take the train. And I was devastated by this breakup because I loved her and I couldn't live without her, right? So I wrote this really long poem, very angry, and I sent it to her. Of course, forgetting to keep a copy for myself. But somehow writing that poem something switched in me. It flicked a switch in me. And I thought, gosh, I want to do this. The second moment that I really knew I wanted to write was, you've read the book, so I was sexually abused when I was a kid. And one of the things that happens to people who were sexually abused is they, it's sort of a cliche now, but you lose your voice. I mean, there's a way in which your voice is taken away from you. And I wrote a poem, I guess in my early 20s, when I first started to try and write about this experience. That poem is long gone, but the experience of writing the poem, again, something sort of shifted in me. It was like, okay, wait a minute. I have a voice now. This is me, and I'm saying this, and therefore the experience is real, and you can't tell me it didn't happen, and I'm not crazy, and all of those kinds of things. The doctor gave instructions like a spy. Be there, 7 p.m. on the dot. If you're not, I'm gone. Don't even think about another appointment. Got it? That day, of course, there was traffic, and the money had to be in small, old bills. You will get in my car as if we were lovers. At the spot, you'll step out first. Walk when and where I say. Make a mistake and I leave. Understood? I did. Somehow it went without a snag, and there I was, legs open on a bed with a man crouched between them like a dog. He reached into me and scraped away the life I'd almost made, not yet mine to give. I had a teacher when I went to yeshiva when I was in high school. I was going to be a rabbi when I was a kid. If they could see me now. But I was going to be a rabbi when I was a kid, so I went to yeshiva, and I had a Rebbe. His name was Rebbe Whale. And he said something in a Gemara class that, I truly will say is one of the real lessons of life that I have learned, and I can honestly say I learned it in yeshiva. He said, it is not so important to, what matters is that you learn how to ask the right questions. And then it's not so important to find answers. What matters is that you learn how to be willing to live with the questions. And I think that's a really profound thing. That not everything is pat, not everything has a clear-cut answer, nor does it have to, right? Because it's asking the questions is an exploration. And I think poetry, for me, is very much connected to that idea. It's about living with questions. A man I've never dreamed before walks into my apartment and sits in the green chair where I do my writing. He carries in his left hand a large erect penis, which he places silently on the floor. The phallus begins to waltz to music I cannot hear, its scrotum a skirt, its testicles legs cut off at the knees. I want to know why this disfigured manhood has been brought to me. I look up, but my guest is gone. His organ, deflating in short spasms like an old man coughing, spreads itself in a pool of shallow blood. The silence between us is the silence of men.